Hey everybody, sorry about that. I don't know what happened with the last feed. It dropped, but I am here. So I'll give everybody a couple minutes to go in and go in that way. So that upcoming live did not work. I don't know why it didn't work. But I'm new to this, so everybody's going to have to cut me some slack. But I'll wait till we get everybody to come over. I'm starting to see some people coming in here. And wait for my feed to come back up. I was already on the other thing. Hey Val, what's up? Cynthia, I'm glad you saw my thing. Not sure what's going on with it, but anyway, it should come up here in a second that I'm live. I got two of you over there. Just waiting for my end to come up and then I can get started. Oh, there we go. Okay, mine's up now. Mine's up now. Sorry about that. I had to go over to a different, I had to go to a different channel. I don't know why that didn't just kick in. And I tested it yesterday and it went on. And it was I did it in the middle. I did it in the middle of the night. So, hey, Smoking Bears, what's up, buddy? Rick, Greg, see you in there. Or no, I'm sorry, not Rick. Greg Hart, what's up, buddy? Val's Black Cat Rules. And of course, Cynthia Wesley's here. And we'll wait for a couple minutes. Oh, we got, there we go. We got Randy Duffy in. That's cool. Yeah, like I said, sorry about that. I don't know why that didn't just kick right in. I tested it yesterday in the middle of the night when I knew nobody would be going, and it worked just fine. I don't know what all happened with that, but anyway, I'm going to just wait a couple more minutes, and I'll get started on where I was at. I'm not sure. I didn't see on Luis's page if he was going live tonight, but I think he is. But anyway, for the 12 people that are here tonight, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and that helps out the channel because this is kind of my job now, and all that. But welcome to the Thirsty Thursday edition of Cast Iron in Real Life, and I am your host, Honey J. Badger, and tonight we're going to be making bread. Now, one of the things we're going to do is you're probably looking at the counter going, why aren't we seeing anything? Well, that's because what we are going to do is we're going to do this in a reverse, because bread is a really long process. So you guys could see how I went about this really super easy bread recipe. I went ahead and I pre-made my bread. Voila. And so I'm going to punch this down. This is actually my second rise. On this recipe, you're going to do a second rise on the bread. You don't have to punch it down a whole lot. You just have to punch it down. We're going to make a regular farm loaf tonight, which is just a round loaf. And then what I'll do is I'll go back through the original process of how I got to this point. So we'll just call this like the reverse sear. We're going to reverse sear this thing. So anyway, I've already got this done. This is risen twice, and I just punched it down. So I'm going to replace this nice. This smells so good already. I'm going to put that right there, and then I'm going to get out the Dutch oven to put this in, and we're going to stick this into here, and I'm going to grab some parchment paper, Hey Pickles, what's up, buddy? Dough abuse, I know. You should have seen it earlier. It got pretty rough. But I'm gonna take a little bit of parchment paper. We're gonna wad that up so it sits in there nice. We're gonna unwad it up. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna set my temperature to bake at 410 degrees. Now that's where on my stove that it seems to work out a little bit better. But generally 400 is where I want to be. So I'm going 410, and we're gonna let the oven start preheating. And we are gonna have to wait a minute for the oven to preheat because I had the dough in the oven proofing underneath the light. And that's another thing that I do. My stove is just pretty much a standard generic electric stove, and a lot of times people have those nice warming features on the newer stoves, but mine does not have that. Now I'm not gonna spray this. I'm not gonna add anything to it. I'm not gonna do anything. But what we are gonna do is we're gonna egg wash it. So I'm gonna take that in there and just kind of form it. I don't want to go and ball it up too much because I want the bottom to be flat. And I could sit and I could twist it a bunch of different ways to the side and work that out. But I'm not that motivated to do it that way. So we're gonna just put this in there, form it down there. And then I'm gonna take one of my implements of destruction, and I'm just gonna put a nice cut down the center. We don't have to get too fancy with it. We can just, this bread is really gonna, it's really gonna rise up, and this is gonna be a really big loaf of bread by the time it's over with. So we'll just put a couple little scores in there so it's got some room to go. And then I'm gonna grab my egg wash, and we're gonna egg wash this down. This part's gonna go pretty quick because, like I said, I've already done the I've done the main thing. What else we got? Fuzz Tea Fork. Yeah, Fuzzy, that's what, man, I was trying to find your channel for a while, and I kept spelling it Fuzzy Fork instead of Fuzz Tea Fork. And if you haven't went to Fuzz's channel, he does have some pretty cool stuff on there. He's really been going pretty nuts with the commemorative lodge, and he's amassing quite a pretty impressive collection of that kind of stuff. Hope you can see that okay. I'm gonna get the egg wash out so you can see that start to finish. And all I'm gonna do with this, I'm gonna use a whole egg. I'm gonna do the whole egg there. And then just a splash of milk. Just about a teaspoon maybe, at the most, maybe a half teaspoon. And then I'll mix that up real fast and put that back in the fridge. Don't want my milk to spurl. Grab a fork and grab the blender here, and hopefully this doesn't spray all over the place. I think it's going to. I actually think we're going to have a little chaos once I try to do this, because I should have put it in a bigger thing. And I'm just going to kind of rotate this up. We'll just get this kind of incorporated in here. If you didn't see what I did, because I'm working in a pretty small spot, I actually went and got a couple tables today that I can kind of put up and take down here in the kitchen. I work in a really small kitchen, I've got a big place with a big backyard, but a super small kitchen. So I think I'm gonna try setting up a couple tables, and we're gonna go that route with it. Now I don't want it to get too foamy. It doesn't need to get too foamy, but I want it to be mixed up really well. So we'll just set that off to the side. Hopefully everybody can see it. And you don't want to go, you don't need to go too much with the egg wash. Just really lightly on there. And like I said, this is cast iron in real life, so I'm trying to make a simple farm loaf that you can make any day, anytime for super cheap, that comes out, and you can give this to the kids. You can have this out for a holiday meal or anything like that. You can do any of that with this. It's going to taste really good. And the thing about this recipe that I really like is you can do so much with it. If you want to take this and cut it down and make different, like a different style, almost like an Italian loaf, you can do that with this, and you can add herbs to it. You can add a couple tablespoons of like Italian seasoning or straight up oregano, and or if you want to do like a raisin bread, you can do this with you can add a little bit of you add raisins to it, and then you can do like you know, sprinkle the top with sugar and cinnamon and have a nice raisin bread. It's a really standard bread dough, and I actually worked on this for quite some time. It took me a while to get a good bread recipe. I followed a lot of them. I followed ones that were done by, say, like Mennonites, and I had friends of mine that were Amish, and every time I tried to do what they said to do and out of the cookbooks, it never came out. So I just started doing what I call almost the 2 teaspoon recipe, and I've had really good luck with this. It's really consistent, and it's really good. And you can cut this down into 2-ounce balls, and you can serve this up. I use this bread recipe to do all of our what do you call it? Our dinner rolls for Thanksgiving this year. And it made, I think I ended up with I think about 14, I think is what it is I ended up with. I ended up with about 14 rolls out of this. So at 2 ounces a piece, and they had a really nice rustic look. I egg washed those as well. And as soon as this gets up to temperature, this is ready to go in there. Like I said, it's already risen twice, and it's ready to go. Now what I am going to do is, once this gets ready to go into the oven, I'm going to put the lid on. I'm going to do the lid for the first 20 minutes, and then after that 20 to 25 minutes, I'm going to take that lid off. I'm going to reduce the heat from 410 down to 165, and then I'm going to let that go for another 20 minutes, and I'm looking for an internal temperature of right around 195 to 205. If you go along with what I do, and your bread's not brittle, because this is actually gonna yield a really, really big loaf of bread, nice round loaf of bread. And if that doesn't work for you, try leaving the top, the temperature, maybe bump up to 425. Leave the top on the longest part. So if you're going 20 minutes with the top on and your bread's not done, you're not getting your bread all the way done in the middle, leave it on for 25 minutes and still just go the other 20 to 25 minutes or till internal temperature with the lid off, because the lid being on there is going to keep it from browning, and you can get a better cook. You're able to keep the cook going longer with the lid on as opposed to having it off, because if you have it off, at that point you're kind of making toast, and you don't want the inside crust to get down into you don't want the crust to be too thick, or you're just going to have a really crumbly loaf of bread. This loaf is actually really dense. It's it's not one of those recipes where it has a lot of holes in it. It's one of those that just it's just it's just one of those that the crust on this is going to be really thin, and it's going to stay together really well. And once it comes out, I'm not going to let it rest on when it comes out tonight. We're just going to take it right from the top. We're going to take it out. I'm going to throw it onto a rack after we do everything, and then you'll see the inside is how dense the inside is. It's not one of those where it's got a bunch of holes and it's kind of good for dipping. This is good for dipping, don't get me wrong. This is actually really good for fondue. This is a really good fondue bread. But you know what I mean by when you cut your bread open and it has a lot of holes in it. It's got a lot of air in it. The kneading part of this, I'm going to do it all in my stand mixer, and it's not going to have a bunch of knead time. So that's the nice thing about this too. It's like a sandwich. It's more of a sandwich loaf, and it's easier to like, you know, if your kids want to just cut some off or make peanut butter and jelly with it, or somebody just wants to make, you want to make peanut butter and jelly with it. It's not one of those that's just going to fall apart as you take the spreads across it. Let me see here. Yeah, throw money, man. Hit those super chats. I don't think I'm monetized anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's not going to make any difference. Just hit the like button and subscribe. That's the best thing you can do for me now. Yeah, this is really, it's no need. I mean, when I put this together, the only thing that I've done to it so far tonight, Pickles, is I've just formed it. When I punched it down, I reformed the bread and then put it back in. It's a shaggy dough, so as I do it, you're going to see that I have to go and kind of peel the dough off of the hook a couple times, and I have to do a little trick where I put some of the water down at the bottom so that how do I want to say it? Because in my stand mixer, my KitchenAid Classic, it doesn't go, the dough hook doesn't go all the way to the bottom like it should. So I get a bunch of shag at the bottom. And so I got to kind of bring that up and around. And it actually, it doesn't affect anything by the time it's done. It's not going to be like, you're not going to have hunks. It looks like you'll have hunks of dough in there, but you don't. It turns out it's really, and it's a nice loaf of bread. We just still have a couple minutes on the preheat, and then we can quit staring at this bread that needs we'll be able to just quit staring at this bread, and then we'll be able to do the real easy part, which is throwing it together. Like I said, it's all going to be like 2 teaspoons of this, 2 teaspoons of that. And I don't even use like regular measuring teaspoons. I just use teaspoons out of the drawer. I got away from trying to do everything perfect with making bread, and I just went with what worked. And this worked. And I couldn't believe that it worked, because I probably made 50 loaves of bread that were they weren't good. They didn't taste right. They were okay. You know, if you needed bread for, you know, gravy and stuff like that, to, you know, something to put some butter on at dinner, they were okay. But it wasn't what I wanted to do. And one of the things that I noticed when I was doing all the other recipes, the Amish style, Mennonite style, the stuff out of cookbooks, is that they used so much more flour. There were so many more ingredients in what they were putting in, and everything was measured out so like precise. Like, I don't know. For me, when somebody says, I'm going to use 483 grams of this and do this, and I need to do this, and they got a digital scale out, my eyes just kind of glaze over. And, you know, they're using the metric system and all that. I'm not trying to do a math. I'm not trying to math while I do this. Okay, so the buzzer went off. That's telling me that we are at 410. And I'm gonna throw the lid on this. I don't have a trivet in it. I do want to try it with a trivet one of these times, but I didn't this time. And I do want to try that once. So we've got the lid on, and that's going to go into the oven at 410. And let me see here. And I did not preheat the Dutch oven. And we're just going to go, we're going to set the timer for 25 minutes. We're going to set that at 25 minutes. Now we're ready to, I'm going to move this egg wash out of the way. I'm going to turn the stand mixer around. I'm going to start heating up my water. And we're going to start cooking. We're going to start baking some bread. The moment we've all been waiting for. Let's see here. Let me just move this egg wash out of the way. I'll start getting the other ingredients around. And we'll go from there. So we don't need that anymore. And yeah, I've already used this. I already used everything to make the first loaf. Let me make sure that that's all lined up where everybody can see what I'm doing. That's the other thing. I don't normally pan out a little bit more, but I wanted everybody to be able to see the inside of here. So let me make sure that that's right. Because you guys, I have a little bit more of a delay on my watch than what you guys have. So let me just take that a little bit farther over to this way. And that should be pretty good right there. Move my beer out of the way. Because that's what I said at the beginning. This is the Thirsty Thursday edition. So I am having a couple tonight. What I'm using as my flour, I've just got basic King Arthur. For the most part, it's King Arthur bread flour, but you can use all-purpose flour for this as well. And it does come out a little denser with the bread flour than it does with all-purpose. But if that's all you got is all-purpose, then just use the all-purpose. So what we're going to start with, let me see, I need another spot. I'll just set that right here. I'll set that right here out of the way. So what I'm going to do is, let me see something here. Let me see if I can take that. I can't take it out anymore. Oh, we got 20 people watching, 10 likes already. That's not bad. Yeah, I apologize. I know there's be a lot more people, but I messed up I don't know what happened to that whole thing. Let me see if I can get that in there. There we go. Okay, so we're going to start with our flour, and we're going to do roughly, and I mean roughly, we're going to go to 4 1/4 cups of flour. And like I said, a lot of this recipe calls for so much less ingredients than a lot of breads do. And so I like that about it, because I didn't really come out with it doesn't seem like when I did the six cups of flour, sometimes even they wanted 7. So there's my first 2 cups of flour. And then it didn't seem like I came out with that much more bread when I went and used 6, 7 loaves of bread, or cups of flour. And I don't sift the flour. Like I said, I'm trying to show a really easy way to do this and a quick way. And I'm going to knock this down a little bit anyhow. Kind of, you don't really, it's going to mix and it's going to be moved around. So I've got, there's my first 4 cups of flour, and then I'm going to do another 1/4 cup of flour, because when I tried to do it at 4, in all honesty, for whatever reason, when I did it at 4, it was really, really a wet dough, and it didn't come out as well as I wanted it to. let's see here. So we got our other quarter cup in there. Got our other quarter cup. And then I'm going to dig a little tunnel down in here. I'm going to dig that out down. I can do it this way so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to dig this out, and I'm going to go all the way to the bottom of the container of this part, because I want that water to be able to get all the way to the bottom in this mixer. Because I've tried a lot of times to just do this with you know, making a little crevice in the top and then having everything proof it that way. But I have a lot of trouble getting everything down in there. Now I'm going to check my water temperature and see where it's at. I'm going to have to take that up a little bit. Or you can microwave it. I just don't use my microwave a whole lot. So let that, I got a little more, it's got to get a little more to temperature here on my water. And let me get my yeast out. And I do protect my yeast with my life. I do always keep it refrigerated. My yeast is always refrigerated. This yeast actually has been in the refrigerator for a year. I buy a big bulk of yeast, and this is the dry activated yeast, the Fleshman's. And I'm going to go at the very bottom with 2 teaspoons. I'm not using the packets, which if you have to use a packet, the packet equals 2 1/4 teaspoons. Now, we're doing regular teaspoons. So I'm just going 2 teaspoons of my dry activated yeast. And I'll double check that and make sure that that's the dry activated. I got the container in the, yeah, Val, I got rid of, I have a freaking microwave because my kids just, for whatever reason, go crazy if I didn't have a I didn't have a microwave in this house for years and years. And I'm probably going to put it in the garage where it belongs, because it's a glorified clock. And that's all it is. It's a little teeny digital clock that takes up half of what little space in my kitchen that I already have. So let me put my flour away and get that big flour container out of the way. And we've got, like I said, 2 teaspoons of yeast in there. And I will check and see. I'll look here in the fridge, because that's my bowl of it. But I buy big packages, the big airtight containers. And I will look and see what that is exactly. Yeah, this is what I use. That's what I use as far as the yeast goes. I'm using Fleshman's instant dry yeast. And in the airtight containers, I keep it in the refrigerator. I always keep it in the refrigerator. These are about a year old. These don't have expirations. They don't have an expiration date, but that's what I use, is the instant dry. Put that back in the fridge. And then, so we've got that part, and then we're going to use, I use unrefined sugar, not the white. I don't use the white stuff. I just use this, and it's big crystals. And just 2 teaspoons in there, like yay. And hopefully my water is coming up to temperature. And if it's not, we'll just wait till it does, because I've got all kinds of time. So like I said, we got 4 1/4 cups of of bread flour. We've got 2 teaspoons of dry yeast, 2 teaspoons of that, and we got 2 teaspoons of sugar. And we're almost done with the ingredients. Once this water heats up, we will be in there. And right now I'm at 94 degrees. So I've got, like I said, I want to go another 15 degrees, but honestly, that's not going to take that long. It's gonna, and I'll show you what pan here I'm using. I'm using the Ace Frehley pan that I have, the Descoware. I'm using my Descoware. I'll pan that over and show you that one. But I've got my water going in that. Let's see if I can't drag you guys over there just for a second, and you can see I've got that heating up in my Descoware pan. I just love that thing. It is so cool. I really dig that little pan. This thing is, I got that off eBay on about 3 or 4 years ago, because at the time, well, still I don't have much enamel, and this thing. My daughter's put settings on this microwave, and I don't know what the heck they do with it. So there's times where it'll only run for like 5 seconds, and it'll kick off, and it'll do like 3 times in a row, and then I gotta restart it a couple. I don't know what the hell they do to it. It just did the same thing. But we're gonna soften the butter a little bit, and that's all we need. That was all we needed, was about 15 seconds in the microwave, and that's down. So we've got, and that's a half stick of butter or 4 tablespoons of butter. It's got to have butter. This is unsalted butter. I'm not using any kind of salted butter, because I find that it burns the bread, and when I bake, it burns stuff a little quicker. So that's I don't do that too often. So we're gonna take the top off that, and we'll run the temperature gauge another time. And these temperature gauges, I don't know what the deal is with mine, but it tends to, if I turn it to the side, if I do it to the side, it goes way up. So, I don't know. We'll just put it in there. It does that well when I test like the temperature of the pans I'm heating up. It gives me a totally, what my point is, it's not that there's something wrong with it, but this particular style, it'll give me a different reading. If I'm like that, it'll give me a different reading than when I'm like this. Well, directly on the skillet. So, but in the meantime, like I said, Thirsty Thursday. Drink them if you got them. But yeah, we're at about 100. I'm about to hit 105. I hit 105. And so here in just a couple seconds, that'll be probably about 30 seconds. That'll be ready to go. Let's see. Let me check up. I'm gonna catch up here on the comment section real quick and see what that's got what we got going on in there. Oh, hey, Hog Wild Huey, what's up, buddy? Good to see you made it. Rick's here. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm so glad everybody showed up. What's the total count here? Yeah, we're at about 20 people right now. That's 3 times what we've had in the past, so that's really good. Let's check the temp one more time, because I don't want to have to go over. I don't want it to go over. So we're at about 100. We're at 107. 107. And you'll be surprised. Like, a lot of times people will say, "Oh man, my yeast went bad. This and that." Keep your. The one thing that I don't like to give a lot of advice on how to cook, but keep your yeast in the refrigerator. That's the best place. We're at 108. Yeah, we're pretty close. It's getting there. We're getting there. 109. Yeah, that's close enough for construction. So we'll swing the camera back around, and go over there. So here we go. We're going to swing back around. And here pretty soon I'll give you a warning when I get ready to kick my KitchenAid on, because it's got the KitchenAid squeaks. And I'll grab my list or my recipe here if you guys want. If you can read it, that's the recipe for it. I know a chicken scratch, especially in the kitchen. But so far we're at 1 1/4 cups, 1 1/2 cups, somewhere in there of the flour. We got 2 teaspoons of sugar. Then we're gonna add our water now. I kind of go with this process because this seems to work out a lot better, and I'm gonna see how much I actually have in there so I don't overdo it like that. So I'm at 1 1/4 with the water. 1 1/4 with the water, and I'm going to retake the temperature of the water again now that it's out of there, and see where we're at. We are at exactly, I don't know if you can see it or not, but we're at exactly 100 and we're exactly at 110. So that's where we need to be. We need to be right at 110. We'll pour that onto there so it gets to the bottom. And then I'm going to go 10 minutes. 10 minutes is all you need for this if your yeast is good. If your yeast is kind of older, you can take it down a little bit more and let it sit. Go maybe 15 minutes. But I try to pull this up. I don't add any salt in there or any kind of sodium into that, even though people say it doesn't make any difference. To me, it makes a little bit of a difference. I just don't want to kill my yeast. Let me check my camera angle. So yeah, that's where we're at. Let's see. When I have a stack of hammers, 5 liters puppies, I don't know, and a blind wiener dog. We had a wiener dog. I had a wiener dog when I was a kid. It was awesome. It was a funny story. My dad got our wiener dog from a guy he worked with, and my dad had a pretty good job, and those guys up there, they all had quite a bit of cash laying around. And so this guy my dad worked with had gotten this wiener dog, and he had it professionally movie trained. So anyway, he was a sales guy for the place where my dad worked, and he was single, and he didn't have a lot of time for the dog, and he felt bad for the dog. So my dad said, well, we live out on a farm. I got a couple kids, and we've already got a couple dogs. So, if the dog needs a home, then we'd be more than glad to give your pup a place to live. And so my dad brings this wiener dog home, and it's professionally trained, right? I mean, this dog could have been in movies. And my sister and I, the first night we got this dog, we'd never seen anything like it. We had farm dogs that followed the tractors around and lived outside. And my dad brought this dog home. It was a teeny tiny little dog, and it had to live in the house. So, but it was trained so well, and it came with a bag of treats. Like, our dogs never got treats. They got they got table scraps and dog food and stuff. And, you might give them like part of your sandwich when you're out in the barn working or whatever. But we didn't know anything about dog treats and stuff. And we were pretty young too. My sister and I were pretty little. And we had this dog doing all these tricks. I mean, all night long, and giving it treats. And this dog was so well trained that it would roll one way, and then not, you know what I mean? You could tell it to roll left or roll right, shake with whatever hands you could shoot it, and it would play dead. It was great. And that dog, my dad was so mad by the end of the night because we'd gotten that dog so sick from all those treats. That dog was miserable for like 3 days. I mean, it was a mess. My dad was not a happy camper about any of that. But anyway, So we're just waiting on the yeast to activate. I don't know. Let me try turning this light off if that makes any difference, if it does any better for everybody. So you can see, because I've got a little bit of a lag. I'm like, I've got that 7-second lag where, in case I start cursing or anything. Yeah, I've got a William. I have a scar. My left hand. My grandmother, she had a blind dog that I would never leave alone. I was always not messing with in a mean way, but I wouldn't leave this old dog alone. And that dog attacked me and mauled my hand up. So, and I was such a little kid, I don't even remember it. My hand, I'd show you the scars if I could show you. My one hand got mauled. That old blind dog took just mauled me up. We got about 4 minutes on the loaf that's in there before we take the top off. This is the only hold part of the whole thing. Once we get past the yeast part, we're gonna be in there. It's gonna start going. Yeah, Yeah, Stevie Wonder says he didn't see Pete. Did he do anything? Yeah. Yeah, right now, Pete, that might be, Stevie Wonder might be P. Diddy's star witness. Who knows? That's a mess. That's a mess. But, I mean, that's one of those things. That's one of those things where if you didn't think there was something going on with all that, I mean, you were kind of blind to the whole situation. But just to keep things kind of going with the ingredients, okay, so I don't forget anything, we're going to take... I'm going to just throw this off to the side, but I'm going to take about this much baking soda. It would be about a half to a quarter teaspoon of baking soda, and I'm just going to toss it right over there, right into there. And then I'm going to use an equal amount of baking powder in there. And the reason that I use the baking powder and the baking soda is that I'm going to use about that much baking powder. And I'm going to use about that same amount right there. And the reason that I don't use a lot of baking soda in this is because, or I add the baking powder with the baking soda, is that to use as much baking soda as they want, as like a lot of recipes do, you're really going to taste that baking soda flavor. If you want the baking soda flavor in your bread, then by all means add a little bit extra. It does help on the rise, but both these agents, the double acting baking powder and the baking soda, that's really about that's your rise. That's what you want. I hope you can see this is really starting to foam up. It's got about another 2 minutes. Once this is ready, I know I threw that off to the side, and I'm gonna just drop that down in there with the rest of it. And I'm gonna grab another drink because it is Thirsty Thursday, and I am extremely thirsty today. Oh, we lost Huey. He got tired of looking at he got tired of looking at just this pan, this bowl of flour. I don't blame him, but I don't have a lot of room in here, and I was hoping that I could pan out a little bit better, but we'll get to that here pretty quick, and maybe even look at my rack. Maybe take a look at my rack. Maybe I can be talked into that tonight. At least, yeah, see you, Huey. Yeah, at least my user, I do have a user rack here in the kitchen, and so it's not my total collection, like you see with, like, say, Caster and Chaos. He has everything right back behind him usually in his Q&As, but I just have my user rack out here, and then off to the side where my living room is, I have like my Dutch oven stands and that kind of thing. But if I can be talked into it, maybe I'll pan around and we'll go through a little bit of the cast iron that's back there. Knock some of that flour that's off of here onto there. But I hope everybody's doing better as far as the weather goes than I am today. It was nothing but snowing and blowing. And the dog, I couldn't talk the dog into a walk. she tried to talk me into a walk earlier in the day when we first got up, and then I took her out and I let her kind of get a little experience of what it was like to be. This is her first winter. She's a puppy still, and she had never seen snow until this morning. She's pretty new to this cold weather. It's been warm her entire life until the last 3 weeks. So she was not having it. Okay, so about 10 minutes has went by. The yeast is fully activated. It's fully foamed up. We're gonna go over here to the stove real quick, and we are gonna pan over again to the stove area and get over that way and go over here, and I'm gonna take that off and we'll see how this is looking so far. Let's see. Let's get this thing in here. That should be about right where we need to be. And we'll pull this out. And we'll take the lid off. We've had it at for 25 minutes there. And that's where we're at right now. That's where we're at right now with it. I need to move that so I can trivet. Sorry for getting the shot, but I hope you can see that. That's where we're at right now with everything. That's looking pretty good. We're gonna lower the temperature down now and put this back in there with the lid off. I'm gonna lower this down to 365 degrees for 20 minutes, and then we're going to do a temperature check on the inside, because I don't want to be opening and closing it a whole heck of a lot. So going back over here, and we'll go back over and we'll put the rest of the ingredients in slowly but surely. There we go. There we go. Let me see. Let me line back up. Sorry to move us around everywhere. Yeah, Fuzz, I can't stand. I don't think I've eaten white bread other than this, and I don't even know how long. Like, I have no idea. It just has that weird, to me, it just has a chemical taste that I can't get away from. And plus with this, I know what I'm eating. So, I mean, this has, well, I mean, where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This has 8 ingredients, and that's it. So we've got our flour in, we've got our sugar, we've got our yeast. We're about to do our melted butter. I'm gonna throw that in there, our soft butter, and get that in. And get that in there. Throw that right down there in the middle. And let's see, then we'll get rid of this. We'll get rid of that thing. Okay, so we got our butter, and then the one thing that I always forget, or I've forgotten in the past, is into this part. Now everybody's like, well, you know, I do my dry ingredients separate, and I do this, that, and the other thing. I don't do that. And this bread comes out just fine. And then we'll just kind of pat that down. And we'll just throw that around in there. And another teaspoon. Pat that down. Right in and around there. And let me check the ingredients. But I believe this to be, that's where we're at. Now, like I said, it's going to, let me get my dough hook here and throw that on here. And I will warn you, I'm about to kick this thing on, so if you're not one to hear the loud the loud mixer. Well, I'm gonna lock it in. You can turn your volume down now. And we're gonna do this for a couple minutes. It's not gonna take much, and I'm gonna smack down the sides as it goes so it's not taking forever, but the yeast is fully activated and we're ready to go. I guess it doesn't squeak as loud as somebody's mixer that I watch their shows on Wednesdays. And we'll just knock all that in there so we have everything get mixed up and all that. And I'm only going on, I'm going to start out at number 1 on the speed, and here in a minute or two I will knock that up there. I'll take it up a notch and we'll go to 2, but you don't want to go much past, you don't want to go over 2 because you can over knead this bread and it doesn't rise right and it comes out flat. So you don't want to overextend your bread. And we'll just keep knocking that sort of down. And eventually this should, now I say it should, I'm not sure if it will, but this should, by the time that the dough's all the way mixed, you'll be able to tell because it'll pull this completely, it'll be a pretty clean bowl by the time it's done. There we go. Okay, so that's telling me that the temperature has dropped down on my bread down to 165 in the oven, and so that should be right where we want it to be. And it's got about a little more than 15 minutes left, and then that'll be just enough time probably for this to be all incorporated in. I try not to, it's a shaggy dough, so I try not to leave it in there, but it does take a little while for it to mix up. And like I said, I will stop it here in a second. See how it's starting to just grabbing the stuff from the center? So I'll turn this down, I'll pop it to the back, that off. Now see, I've got all that shaggy at the bottom, and we want the rest of this to incorporate in there, and it will. Believe you me, this is gonna work if I have to do it all night. Gonna do it all night long. And that in there, and then I'm gonna take and flip that up over top. These mixers are okay. Kitchen's Aids are all right, but this one's not super, it's not, I want to say it's not super old, but this was a hand-me-down. This was actually one of my mom's birthday presents in 1990, and I know that was the year that it was her birthday present because it was she got it at a certain age, and I'm pretty positive my mom's not watching, but I don't want to talk about how old my mother is. But she's not that old, actually. I'm going to lock it back in and turn it back around. And I might have to splash a little bit of water in here, but I shouldn't have to once the dough gets incorporated. See how it's starting to pull? It's starting to pull everything off of the sides, and that's what we want. I will have to take this off here again and take it off the hook. But this is all the kneading I'm doing. I'm not doing any kneading. I don't know if you call it no knead. This is called no knead bread, but I'm not sure what the definition of no knead bread is. Hobart's good. Hobart. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not exactly too impressed with the KitchenAid. It has a lot of attachments, but they don't really seem to work that. Like we got the kids at the ice cream maker attachment this year, and it was just impossible to get on there. I ended up selling it on eBay because it was so hard to use. And I'll pull this off of here. I won't use the spatula this time. I'll get my hands dirty a little bit and get that incorporated around in there, and pull the rest of this shag off the bottom and put it down into the middle. And you may think that this is going to make a difference in the bread and that the bread's not going to turn out because of the consistency of how it is right now. But I'm telling you, when this bread comes out of the oven here in about 13 minutes, it's going to be something else. It's really going to be, you're going to be surprised what this looks like as it compared to what that looks like. And see, it's really starting to clean that off the bottom. I might just drop a smidge of water in there, just to, because it is a little bit drier in my house than when the heat's been running, than when the first one went around. So we may just give it a little splash of water down at the bottom to pull that stuff up and put that together. But it shouldn't take, I'm not even going to get the measuring cup out. I'm just going to drop a little down the side so it gets connected. Just a little. There we go. That's all it needed. Was just that little bit. And then, see how it's, yeah, it's coming off there. That's all it needed to do. It was just that little bit. And then I'll take this up, down to the back. There we go. That's where I like it to be. And we'll that down to the back. Take this off, and we'll just kind of form it up. It did get a little, I made it a little soggier than I wanted it to be, but I got impatient with it. And all we're gonna do is just kind of form this up and abuse it a little bit. And that's it. That's what your dough, that's what the dough is going to look like. You can knead it a little bit if you want to and kind of stretch it out a little bit, but it doesn't need it. And it will look lumpy and it'll look ugly, but that's it. And your dough's done. We are done with the dough. And we have about, I don't know, we have just about 8 minutes until the other bread's going to come out, so I'll move this out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and put the top on this one and move it off to the side so it can start to rise a little bit. But yeah, if you see in the inside of this, the bowl's pretty clean. It all pulled away, and that was it. And you can take it from this spot. I would wait till the second when it's done rising, when it's had 2 rises, and then decide to form it up and cut it down if you want to make biscuits. So there we go. And we'll just put the top on it, and we'll set that off over onto the side over here. Put the little cap on it. I love those little caps. Set that into the sink and set this stuff into the sink and move all this other stuff out of the way, because I'm going to bring the cutting board over into this spot so we don't have to change the camera up too much. And then we'll bring that out. We'll give it about, we won't even give it that long to rest. We're just going to cut it open so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about as far as how it looks on the inside. Because it's actually an impressive loaf of bread when it's done. It may look not that great, but this is good stuff. And every once in a while I also like to maybe salt the top of it, and we'll get the mixer out of the way. That mixer out of the way. So we can do that. We'll just put it back in its home quickly. There we go. Ooh. These things aren't light. Set that off to the side. And throw this in the trash. Throw that up there. Throw our juicer away. And move this stuff. Move that stuff. I'll wipe this up real quick. I know this is really kind of a boring spot. It's not much to see for a second, but I'll move this stuff out of the way and we can get the cutting board out. And by that time, the bread should be popping out of it. We'll take a temperature check on the bread, and we should be in fairly good shape. Move the spoon. Move these spoons that I didn't use, like always. That didn't work out. That worked out a lot better in my head than it did just now. Okay, I'll move that over to this way. There we go. I did happen to get some time today and do a bunch of cast iron cure. We did sell out, which was good news. So if anybody was nice enough to pick up some cast iron cure this week or last week, you definitely put me to work today, because I had to go and make tons of it today. Tons of it today. Made a nice little pile. And these are up. I've actually got a few in here, and I will show that off a little bit. I got some of these done, and these are up for sale on eBay. Great stuff. This is what it looks like. That's what it looks like when it's done. And I don't know if you can see in there all the little spots as it's just curing up, because this won't be ready for a couple more days yet. But the beeswax that I use is so unprocessed and so pure that if you can see it in there, I don't know if you can or not, but those little dots are actually the DNA pattern of the hive that I use. The hives that I use, they you can't get that. You can't get that that succinct pattern with like really processed beeswax. It just comes off really nice. It's got a great smell. Put it up there. I don't know if you can see it. Everything's washing out. Everything looks washed out, but this stuff, it smells great. It has like this really floral honey type smell. It smells so good. And like I said, that's available on eBay. It's pretty cheap, and I get it to everybody really quick. So, but that's what I spent my morning doing, since we were the weather was so bad, and it sucked because I couldn't get to. Normally, I get to. I make it in a shop with. I use a space that one of my artist friends has. And then I go in and I make a bunch, and then I do that. But it was so cold today that he didn't want to come out, and I couldn't get into the building to work today, so I had to do it at home, which I don't like to do. I don't really like to do it at home, but I did. I've got a little portable kit that I keep so I can do everything and sterilize everything here and get it all taken care of. But we'll get this wiped up, get the counter wiped off, and I will get out the cutting board, one of the cutting boards, and we will give this bread a taste. There we go. Get the which board? I should use the other board. I'll use the big board or the square board. That'll show up a little bit better. Get this board out. And let's see, board out, I'll get the knife out, and I hope you guys will be able to see the end result of all this. Bread knife. There we go. And the bread knife. There we go. All right. Let's see. I'm just going through the comments here real quick. Move that over some. Oh, hey, I got to head out too. Night all. Oh, we're losing somebody else. We lost Handsome Stone. Well, good night, Handsome Stone. Thanks for coming in. So who? But we still have a lot of people left. So here we go, and we have about 2 minutes with the till that comes out of the oven. I'm gonna do a quick. Actually, this would be a good time for me to take its temperature and see if we're at the right temperature for the bread, and we'll take a good look at it here real quick. Let's see, where's the... Yep, we're at 365, so I didn't mess that part up. Thanks, Val. Like I said, that my uncle made that a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Yeah, yeah, it is. It's the 3D board. The 3D board, yeah. He makes one. He was making them in a circular, almost like a more of a circular pattern as well. Those are pretty cool. Yeah, those. But yeah, he did that and the butcher block back here for me as well. So yeah, that's definitely But yeah, we got 1 minute. I'm going to take the temperature on this bread. I'm going to do a pull out of that. Let's bring that around there. We'll bring that around. Get out the oven mitts. And see where we're at with the internal temperature. Yeah, we're just at 199. So that is exactly where we want to be. And let me grab my rack out of here. We'll put that on the board, and then I'll spin us back around. Yeah, that was great timing actually. So turn the timer off and the oven off, and move this out of the way. Put that over here, and we will get the bread out. Oh yeah, that's looking really good. Let's see here. Yeah. So then I'll try and finagle this out. Move this over. Move that thing over. Move the beer out of the way so I don't spill that. I'm looking at the screen. The screen is not doing the bread justice. It is a lot more of a golden brown in there. So we'll move that a little closer. All that closer to there. And move it onto there. And I think I'm just going to use my hands to get it out. I think it'll be easier that way. Yeah, that was a lot easier than using the oven mitt. And we'll just flop that off of there. I did flatten that out a little bit. There we go. I think you can see it now. We'll move the paper out of the way and stick that back in there. And then I'm just going to put it onto the cutting board. I'm not really that worried about it. Like that. Get that over there. Oh yeah. Maybe even bring it in a little closer so we can see the bread a little better. I don't even think I'm going to use that rack. I think I'm going to take it there off of the rack. Just slide it right onto the cutting board. I don't need that thing. And let me get out my butter dish. I should have had that out to begin with. And we were going to give that a nice cut. It's nothing fancy, but this is really, really, really good bread. And we'll take an end piece off there. Now, it's a lot better if you let it rest, but if you notice, this isn't really like a crumbly loaf. It's going to be good and dense and have a good chew to it. There we go. There we go. And then, oh yeah, steaming hot bread. Now you're gonna, it is a lot better when you let it sit, because you can see it still needs a little baking time right in there. So I'm gonna stick that back into the pan, and I'm just gonna let that sit without the cover on it. But it's pretty close. The center was at 199, which you want to be at 200. And but you'd want to let it rest about 15 minutes. That's going to keep your cooking time open. But I just wanted to show you, like, you can really see it's not an airy style bread. And like I said, I should have waited just a few more minutes to let that go. But I'm gonna give this a shot. Yeah, let me grab a butter. Oh, I don't have a butter knife on my butter dish. What good's a butter dish if it doesn't have a butter knife, right? I'm gonna stick a little bit of dollop of butter on there and let that sit for a second, because the butter, I didn't think to pull that out of the thing there. If we can get a little better look at it. There we go. What are we making, Greg Hart? We are oh, that's an old one. I don't know why that's not updating like it is on there. And then we'll give that a little spread. I wish I would have left that butter out. I didn't even think to do that. Dang it. The butter's cold. Butter's cold. Ah. My smoke detector is going to go off. I'm having some chaos. A little bit of chaos. But yeah, I'll let that bread sit in there for a little while and let it bake down a little bit. But yeah, don't let this little misstep keep you from trying to make this bread, because once this rests for about 15 minutes, it's so well worth it to make this loaf. And what it could use is I've got a little bit of my daughter made apple butter. My daughter made apple butter this year, so we'll smear a little apple butter on there too. That's going to be so good. There we go. Yeah. Give that a try. That's good. This is going to be good. Let's give it a taste. Oh my gosh, that's so good. That is so good. Yeah, you're right. Real butter. You know, it's funny because talking with a mouthful. usually I do leave my butter out like all the time. And I was trying to make space and I put it in the refrigerator. I also had butter softening out on the cupboard, on the counter, to just so I could use it to put in the recipe. Oh, that's really good. Yeah, that's something else. Yeah, Fuzz, I think I can be talked into swinging this around and showing you a little bit of the cast iron. See what we can. See if we this. Like I said, this isn't all my collection. This is just it's a good portion of my collection, but it is it's my users. These are the ones that anybody can come to the house and use. I usually suggest that they use the Yellowstone set first if they don't know what they're doing, because I do have some Yellowstone pieces in there. That's really good. Okay, I'm gonna put the lid on the. I'm gonna put the lid back on the bread. Keep that warm because that's what I'm gonna have as my snack here in a little bit. And then we'll see if we can't get everybody over here. Probably get a shot of my dog. And we'll bring this over this way. There. Let's see here. That is. There we go. Let me straighten that up a little bit. That's a lot of, well, I can't get it all in the shot. That was the thing. I really went, when I was trying to get this straightened out tonight, and I had to go over there. That's pan up and go over that a little bit. And I have some pieces missing because some of them are, I have a lot of stuff that's in the lye tank and out in the garage and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's a good portion of it. A lot of what's up there. Let's see. Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's my daughter's mortar and pestle. She had to have one of those. Picture's not clearing up. I don't know what, but there's yeah, you can see there's some favorite ware in there. There's some Griswold, Wagner number 4s. There's some one of them might get down. Oh, there's the dog. Yeah, the beagle. She's not a beagle. We just call her. All of our dogs are called the beagle. They're all called beagles. Kind of a family joke. Thanks, Randy Duffy. I'll move this in a little closer. I'm kind of on a stand. So let's see if we can get it in. Sorry, I don't mean to be. Let me see if I might be better if I. Yeah, you can kind of see some of it that way. Yeah, but yeah, there's some stuff in there. The one side, the bottom middle one's mostly Piqua favorite. I don't have any of my Wapaks out there except for there's a griddle on the side. Thanks, Randy. Is there anything anybody wants to see maybe? Real quick? Because I'm gonna kind of shut it down here in a second. I'll just wait for somebody to comment and see if there's anything that anybody wants to check out. There's some My Pet in there. I do not have any Canadian. I don't have any Findlay. I don't have any of that stuff. GSW, I have no Canadian at all. That it's strictly American foundries, mostly vintage. There's some on the side over here. There's you'll be able to see that's a lot of that's some of my Lodge collection, like the commemorative style skillets. The what do you call it? Like the wildlife series is on the bottom shelf. Where did I get the shark mitt? Where did I get the shark mitt? I think I got that off of Amazon. Yeah, my daughter. I think I'm pretty positive my daughter got. Yeah, my daughter got that because I'm a big Jaws fan. The Jaws series. That's like my. Everybody has their movie collection that they like, and Jaws is sort of mine. But yeah, and I need to do a little bit of a reorganization because if you can see up here underneath all my threes and the American skillet that there's handles sticking out there, there's stuff underneath there, there's square skillets and breakfast skillets and stuff like that. But yeah, that's the main user. That's the main user thing. And then on the sides over toward that way, I don't know if you can see down in there, but there's on the sides there's my larger skillets like my 14s on the side, and then down toward the bottom is the 17 inch. Yeah, I have. Yeah, Randy, I'm telling you, on this wall right here is everything a basic skillet set from 3 to 17. And then on the side over there, you can't see it because there's some stuff in the way, but I've got the 12s, a 10. I think there's a 15, and there's a really odd size 15-inch skillet, I believe, on the side. But yeah, and then down toward the bottom, on the next to last shelf, there's a Wagner 5-star. Then there's Wagner chicken fryer with the glass lid, and then underneath that is a Me Pet with the lid. That's a pretty cool skillet. I can get that out. Thanks, Debbie. Oh, it's my best pal, Debbie. What's up, Debbie? Good to see you. Thanks, Fuzz. I don't have a huge collection. But what I think that I have is I try to get deals on things that maybe aren't as common as everything else. The Mia Pet one with the lid is one of my favorites. That's a really cool skillet. I'm getting a frog in my throat. Yeah, thanks, Fuzz. But let me see here. I can kind of dig that. I don't know if a lot of people have seen My Pet skillets before, but the bottoms of them, I hope I don't pull this off. I haven't used it in quite some time. I'll pull this off real quick. But move these out of the way. Put this out of the way onto the kitchen table. Sorry to get my back. But that's the room I got to work with in here. But this one is really cool. I like this one so much. It's kind of dusty. Knock the dust off. But let me see if I can put it up there where you can see it a lot better. But the back of My Pets are so cool. And to think that they were made back in the 30s and 40s, 50s, and they had that much detail in them is just really, it's really hard to believe. I mean, they're a beautiful pan, and this sits dead flat. It's got, the inside had some pitting in it when I first got it, but I should use this a lot more than I do. And let me see here. I'm trying to see the comments. Okay. But yeah, these are These are really, they kind of remind me, these My Pet sort of remind me of Martin Stove and Range, the hamburger logo styles. That's what it kind of reminds me of. They're pretty cool. And oh shoot, about knocked my camera over. But the lids do it for me. I really like these lids, these beehive lids. That's those are pretty cool, and they're so much easier to clean than say like your Lodge style or the Wagner Sawtooth style. They are so easy to clean, and they work really well. They don't just sit. It doesn't just let all the condensation go to the sides. Yeah, it's absolutely, and they just feel good in your hand. They feel really good in your hand. I'm a really big fan of the My Pet. And there's kind of debate on whether that's what's the other name that I'm looking for? I'm drawing a blank. But there's another it's an Irish name, and I'm trying to think of what people sometimes get those lids mixed up, but that came from somebody who bought the lid and the skillet at the same time. I bought it from a just a regular collector, and that had been their mother's skillet. Sorry to get my back in the way. I'm just trying to put everything back where it goes, sort of. That needs to be organized. But yeah, that's that there. Let me see here. O'Brien and O'Brien. That's exactly what I was looking for, Corey Clark. O'Brien and O'Brien. And they are very similar. They're similar. But that one's not. The reason that I know it's not, because like I said, I bought it from a guy who that was his mother's skillet, and so they bought that. I imagine it kind of he said she'd had it his whole life, and so. But yeah, that's what that one is. I do like that one. And it's one of those skillets that it's not super heavy, but it's not super light either. So you don't have to baby it. I don't always feel like I'm going to crack it. Like I say, like an old Victor. There's some Victors in there. Let me see there's a lot of digging to get to the Victors. The Victors are in the back. But like I said, these are just my users. And there's a pretty rare one, that Pickwood Favorite. That's a 6. Pickwood Favorite. Those are kind of rare. Those are hard to come by. I did a video about them being kind of rare, and then I started seeing them every week on eBay. So, and they were pretty expensive as well. But yeah, I don't think there's anything that's notable enough to kind of drag down. There's I can show you this one. That's my Wagner 4, right there in the center of the gold one. And that's what, when you use beeswax seasoning, that gold color, that's, I recently refinished that one, restored that one. And the gold color of these is what you'll get when you, that's what you'll get when you use beeswax. It'll darken up, but it will, it's almost like a bronze color. But yeah, that Wagner 4, that one's a nice one. I got that. Man, that was a steal. I should have got a felony for that one, because I got that one for almost next to nothing. That was a good one. And there's a square Wagner ware under there. That one's unmarked. Because initially when I started collecting, I wanted to just get an unmarked set of Wagner, the 60s models, the ones that were still fairly smooth. They were still nice. They were still really good quality. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, everybody, I'm getting ready to cut this off myself, so it's went on. It kind of took me a little bit longer than I thought, and yeah, once this is kind of I need to move around, and that's the thing with having this be my my user rack. You pull something off, and then you pull 2 or 3 things off, and then you put something else back, and it kind of gets out of whack. So it's not exactly that organized. But anyway, thanks everybody for showing up tonight. I really do appreciate that. Try the bread recipe. It works out really well. And it's one of those things you can break that in half, put it in loaves. It goes a long way and all that. But yeah, thanks everybody for showing up. And you know, like, share, subscribe, all that jazz, whatever. But yeah, Corey Clark, the favorites. I will show one more, and then I will go. But for sure. But this one I call Old Faithful, and I got this, and this was a real rust bucket when I got it. But this is one that I use a lot. And don't let these things, when you see them and they have that pitting on there, don't let that fool you, because this skillet without that pitting on there would probably be about $150 to $200 favorite pickleware, and it's supposed to say the best to cook in. That's what would be underneath there. But this thing cooks like an absolute dream. It's just, I cook with this all the time. But yeah, I mean, it's just a beautiful pan. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to show that one real quick. Yeah, Old Faithful, I really love that pan. But anyhow, I'll let everybody get on with their Thursday night. It's Thursday night. It's getting late. It's getting toward 9 o'clock, and Luis is gonna. I'm not sure if Luis. Oh shoot! I'm not sure if Luis is gonna be on or not. But well, William Hurt, you got the recipe. You can make all that bread you want, buddy. But anyway, I'm gonna let everybody get out of here, and I'm gonna go try and take the dog out. So we will talk to you guys later. All right, see ya.